Hi, if you're new here, my name's Ashley Bachman, and I'm a realtor in the Charlotte, North Carolina region. And I'm starting this YouTube channel to talk a little bit about strategy and mindset in business, and particularly in real estate. And at the filming of this video, we are very close to the inception of this channel. Currently, what I'm filming is going through chronologically what my process was deciding to get into real estate and how I made my step-by-steps into the course that I chose, into the brokerage I chose, and my first 30 days, all of that and everything in between. There's only one video before this, and that is a little in-depth into my story and how I chose to get into real estate, so feel free to go back to my channel and find that first video. But today, we're going to be talking about how I chose the course that I went through for my 75-hour pre-licensing program, which may look a little bit different in every state. Again, I am in North Carolina, and I will often speak to what I know, which is North Carolina, but across the board, you're going to have some sort of pre-licensing course, probably around 75 hours. And after the pandemic, there opened up a variety of ways that you could take this course. So now there is a lot of online and self-paced options, which there weren't necessarily before. It was mostly in person. So I want to talk about the program that I chose, how I chose it, why I like it, and a little bit of tips and tricks on what you should consider when you're picking the pre-licensing course that you're going to take. I'll first just start off by saying that I took my pre-licensing course on the CE Shop, which is an online website, and from what I could tell, they've got the pre-licensing programs and a variety of post-licensing and continuing education programs for probably every United States, every US state. I really enjoyed the CE Shop, and if it's something that you're interested in, you want to explore more of, I do have the link to that in the description of this video. I think the first thing that you need to consider when choosing whatever course program that you're going to do, whether it's in person or online, is knowing what your learning style is and knowing what your schedule needs are. And when you can kind of look at those two things on an axis, you'll probably figure out which quadrant you're in and which path to choose in terms of a course program. So what I mean by that is, do you need a set schedule? For example, I do really well going to the gym when I know that I'm going to a group fitness class, because that class is at 7 a.m. and if I'm late, I'm late and I don't make it. I got to get my ass up and go to that class. So that's a little metaphor there. So if that's the case, you would probably do well with some sort of live training, whether that is live online or live in person. You might just know that you need to be in person. You need to be in a classroom. You need to be amongst a group of people who are learning the same thing, that energizes you, that helps you pay attention, and you need a live teacher in front of you that you can actively speak to and ask questions. Again, some of these things that you can do on a virtual platform that is still live, but you might need that in-person environment to really stimulate you and to help you focus on what you're learning. A lot of times the live options are going to have these set schedules, and that may work for you or it may not. What I mean by that is, what is your availability in your life? Do you have full-time availability? If so, you might want to find one of these crash courses that help you get through your pre-licensing course in 2 weeks' time, 2 or 3 weeks' time. That's going to look like a full-time job where you're going in every day from 9 to 5. If you don't have that full-time availability, but you want to be consistent and you want to meet your goal of completing the licensing program in a certain time frame, a lot of these courses tend to cover or go through like a 3-month time span. That could be weekday evening classes, that could be weekend classes. So it really just depends on what your preference is and what your current lifestyle is and what you can accommodate. You might need the flexibility to work from home, which might put you in a position where you either take those live classes or you consider something self-paced. All the self-paced options are going to be online video, on-demand video. And again, that's the program that I chose. And I think the biggest reason why I picked that method was not only because I know my learning style and I know that I'm capable of being disciplined and setting my own schedule and working through the program at a pace that works for me, but also that I wanted to try to get through the program in 2 weeks, and I wanted to do it in the comfort of my home. So I didn't want to take any of the virtual live programs that had a 3-month schedule because I didn't want to push my process out that long. Well, what we'll talk about in a future video is it ended up taking me about 3 months anyways, but actually I did it a little sooner. I probably went through the whole course in 2 months, and then that last month was studying and taking the license exam. So I just didn't want to be restricted by how long a live program would take. I wanted to try to push through it as much as I could because I had the full-time availability to do so. When you're thinking about your learning style, you also want to think about, do you learn well from pre-recorded videos, or do you need it to be live engagement so that you can raise your hand and ask questions? Are you a visual learner? Do you learn by hearing? Do you learn by taking notes? Do you learn by reading? It just depends on what kind of learner you are, and take a moment to figure that out because you want to set yourself up for success and pick the program that is going to resonate the best with you, because we're all different, and that's why there's so many options out there. You know, when I started in my brokerage, someone was talking about how we have to take a post-licensing course. And again, for North Carolina, we have to do 90 hours of post-licensing to remove the provisional status on our broker license. And that's a story for another time. But our brokerage was talking about that, and they were saying, plan ahead. You need to get the 90 hours completed within the first 6 months of your license. And they were saying something like, you know, if you're not very self-disciplined and you're not good at setting yourself a schedule, then you might need to think about that now and start planning ahead and really making time for it. And I thought to myself, if you're not self-disciplined and you don't know how to set yourself a schedule, you probably shouldn't be in real estate, because whether you're on a team or not, you have to have a little bit of those skills for yourself. You need to know how to be self-disciplined, and you need to know how to set a schedule and follow it, because you really don't have a boss. Even if you're on a team, you don't have a boss. You don't have anyone that's really telling you what to do and where to do it and when to do it, because that would be violating license law, at least in North Carolina. So food for thought, and probably a video for future time. Now I think that there is a little checklist that you want to go through and consider when you're picking your program. At this point, you've hopefully already decided if you want to be in person, if you want to be live virtual, or if you want to be self-paced. If you haven't, if you're open to all of those, then you may just go through this checklist to help you narrow it down. But that first stage is going to help you definitely narrow down between what programs are you actually going to look at and invest in, and how are you going to kind of tailor your search based on those beginning criteria. But beyond that, there are several things that you want to keep in mind when you're picking a course. Let's go through the list. The very first thing is to find reviews and recommendations on that program. So if there are people in your own personal community who are real estate agents that you know of, I would say reach out to them and ask them which program they use and went through to get their licensing course. Even if they're not local to you, they may have done something online. So for example, I've got friends all over the country that are real estate agents. They may have done the CE shop as well. It's not just North Carolina. So anyone in your personal network that you know and trust that you can ask, I would definitely say get their opinion. And at the end of the day, also remember that take their opinion for what it's worth. You learn differently, and your needs and your availability are different. So don't take their word for the Bible, but get some reviews and recommendations. You can also go online and search particular programs and find reviews on YouTube, variety of forums. People will be talking about these programs, especially if they're well known. Before you get invested in any particular program, I would definitely recommend that you ensure that it is accredited by your state. You can usually find the state board website, and through that website, they will have a list of accredited programs. So if you're sort of like, I don't even know where to begin or how to ensure that it's accredited, I mean, you could do a Google search like top 10 real estate licensing courses in North Carolina and go from there. Or you can go to the North Carolina Real Estate Commission website and look at their list of accredited courses, and you can either double check that it's accredited or just, sift through those to find one that you like. But it would be quite a shame for you to buy a pre-licensing course on Groupon because it was half the price of everything else, just to find out that it's not accredited and it's not going to count for jack crap. You want to look at the school's pass rate, and what that basically means is from the students that have gone through that course, how successful were they in passing the license exam. You can get a good gauge for how successful the program is and how successful the students are by looking at the pass rate. And that should be marketed on their website, but if you can't find it, you should be able to send an email and ask for that information. But typically it's something that the programs like to boast. And so start to get a comparison of what pass rates are from program to program. Speaking of reaching out and sending them an email, you can speak to the admins of that program and ask them about other aspects of their course, like what are their teaching methodologies. I would say make sure that your course is taught by a licensed real estate agent or broker, preferably someone who's active and in the field right now, because things are always changing. License law is always changing, the market's always changing, and you want someone that understands the market today. And so definitely make sure that who's teaching the course, these are people that are not just talking the talk, but they're walking the walk. And if you're doing a self-paced course, of course, you're just going through an internet web page and you're just clicking through and reading things and watching videos. So you don't necessarily have like a teacher guiding you through everything, every single step, but you should have some sort of assigned guide or mentor or teacher, you could say, that is licensed in your state, that is your point of contact for any questions that you may have as you're going through the course. So definitely make sure that that person exists and that they are attainable, and what are their communication styles, how often can you reach them, how responsive are they. So for example, with the CE shop, we have access to private Facebook groups where these teachers are in, and all the students are in there asking questions. The teachers are very responsive, and we also have their direct phone number and email, and they're pretty responsive that way too. One of the biggest reasons why I chose the CE shop was because they also offered post-licensing and they offer continuing education. Why I like this program was because I could jump in on the pre-licensing level and I would be familiar with how the program works, how the platform looks, how intuitive it is to get around the platform. And once I'm in that system and I've gone through one program, it's going to be so easy for me to get in and do future education requirements without a learning curve of how that program works and operates. So I really liked that, and that was a big defining factor between why I picked this one versus a couple others I was looking at. Consider what sort of student groups or communities exist, whether it's a Facebook group or any sort of chat message, or if you're in person, is there any sort of like in-person study groups? How connected is the community? What's the culture of the students that are coming to learn? And so if you are considering an in-person class, I wonder if you might be able to shadow, 20 minutes of an active class that's going on right now. So you never know, it doesn't hurt to ask. We talked a little bit about this already, but class formats, it's just a different way of presenting that concept. But are there Q&A? Are there videos? Are there visuals? Do you have to read a lot? Just what is the class format? And then of course you want to compare prices. I think what you'll find at the end of the day is a lot of these programs are very similar in cost, especially once you narrow down looking at the self-paced versus the in-person or whatnot. And don't be persuaded by a cheap Groupon course. Like, I don't even know if those are accredited, but look at it this way. You are taking the first step to invest in your career in real estate, where if you do well, if you're successful, if you're disciplined, if you are dedicated, you can do really well. You can be really successful. And a couple $100 that you have to invest up front for your education to get your license to then be in this career path is nothing in the grand scheme of how much money you can make down the line. So don't cheap out on a course up front just because you're looking for the cheap option. You're gonna get what you pay for. So the CE shop was about the same as some of the other handful of self-paced programs that I was looking at. It may have been, $50 more. Actually, the program was like $735 and all the others were around $450, but they have a 30% discount code, which seems to be pretty active all year round, especially depending if you get a referral from me. So my referral code in the URL link in the description is 30% off, and that makes the price comparable to other programs like Kaplan and whatnot that are out there. This program had everything I needed, knew that I was making a quality investment in my future, and it worked because I passed my license exam the first try. So once you've gone through all of these checklists and all of these considerations, maybe you are landing in the same place I did, which is considering the CE shop, considering something self-paced. I'll tell you a little bit more about what stood out to me and why I liked the program. One of the first things that I liked about it was the technology. It's an incredibly intuitive platform, simple yet has everything that it needs, and is a very well-established company. They've got live chat support or call or email support, I think 24/7. So if I ever had any issues, I would be able to get in touch with tech support. But what I also liked about the technology is that their platform worked seamlessly on both the computer desktop as well as the mobile version. Now, I wasn't thinking that I was going to be on my phone studying for my licensing exam all the time. However, there were a few times where I went to the gym and I pulled up the flashcards in the program on my phone, or a few times that I was just out and about and had 20 minutes and just decided to work through my course a little bit more. I find that the CE Shop is continuously offering discount codes, which is making their programs even more affordable than local options. I chose it because it was self-paced. I wanted to have control over my schedule, and I had a lot of flexibility and availability in my schedule, so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't restricted by waiting every Tuesday and Thursday to do a 3-hour chunk of the class. I wanted to do it every day, as much or as little as I could that day. They had documents that you could download and print and read and print out and highlight and scribble and study, and that's what I used when I got to studying for the final exam. They've got questions to test your knowledge as you're working through, flashcards, study sheets. They had a good variety of study tools and teaching methods, and I felt that would keep me engaged. One of the biggest reasons I picked the CE Shop is because with my pre-licensing course, they also offered a second course that was specifically designed as a license exam prep course. So it was in the same website, but it was a whole other program that once I completed the pre-licensing course, I had then access to and was able to do so many different test exams, whether it was a full-out test exam on the national or the state, or whether I wanted to focus in on particular subjects that I didn't know very well. I really, really enjoyed the way that was designed, and I think I was able to go through it as many times as I wanted until I was getting consistent pass percentages on all of my practice exams. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence knowing that when I would go into my license exam that I knew what I needed to know. My mentor or teacher was very accessible in the Facebook community group as well as via email, and was a very successful active broker in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. The thorough study tools, that is the biggest difference, because you are taking this course so that you can pass your license exam. So you want to make sure that the course is thorough, it's updated, and that they are offering you study tools. Everything that the CE Shop provided in their digital resources in their program and in their study sheets was everything that I needed. I maybe did a little bit of additional online studying with podcasts and YouTube videos. I recommend that across the board anyways, to create a variety of learning methods and learn from a variety of teachers, because that'll help you round out the concepts better when you learn it taught in slightly different ways. So I hope that this conversation was helpful to you in your process of considering what sort of real estate pre-licensing program that you are going to invest in. If you have any questions or you want any elaboration on anything that I mentioned in this video, just drop that in the comment below. I'll check that out and get back to you. If you're curious about this CE Shop, my link is an affiliate link. I do get incentives for you purchasing your program through that, so I appreciate you doing that if that's something you're interested in. So take a moment to subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified when I get new videos posted every single week. Next week, I'm going to be posting a video that's going to talk a little bit about just getting you mentally prepared for what to expect once you start actually studying for your license exam. So we're going to talk about that more next week. Stick around.